The next thing I want to talk about with the child tax credit is how this is going to affect our taxpayers and children that live in the territories, and particularly in Puerto Rico. Historically, residents of Puerto Rico were required to have 3 or more qualifying children in order to claim any part of the child tax credit. And they also had to file a 1040 PR or a 1040 SS to claim the credit, and they had to have earned income on that tax return that required them to pay Social Security taxes, Medicare taxes, or self-employment taxes. And the only difference between the 1040 PR and the 1040 SS is the 1040 PR is in Spanish and the 1040 SS is in English. The American Rescue Act permanently changed the rules for the child tax credit for residents of Puerto Rico. Going forward, these residents have the exact same requirements for claiming the child tax credit as mainland filers. So that means for this year, they are not required to have earned income. It also means that the dollar amounts will be $3,000 or $3,600 for a child 5 and under. They no longer have to have 3 or more children. They can have 1 child. The other thing that's different about this for Puerto Rican families is they did not get any advance payments. So in order to get this credit, they will have to file a 2021 Form 1040 PR or 1040 SS to claim the credit. And here's a snippet of the 2 forms, just that relevant part of the 1040 SS, which is the English version of this, where on the top one, it shows that, that they only need 1 or more qualifying child, and they simply will put in the amount from their worksheet of the child tax credit. And the bottom one shows that you need to have 3 or more child. You have to have certain income. You see that on line 2 of the bottom one, and that they would have to put that in, and that's how they would claim the additional child tax credit. This is going to be a kind of a game changer for Puerto Rican residents. It's anticipated there will be a large number of Puerto Rican residents that will be trying to claim the child tax credit this year. The next thing is these requirements for the territories affect all territories. So it's not just Puerto Rico, it's going to be the other territories. So the other territories are going to fall under these same requirements. But one thing that might be slightly different between Puerto Rico and the other territories is some of the other territories, they have to claim the credit on their territory return. So they won't be filing a 1040 type return with the IRS. And also in some of the territories, there were some advance payments that were made by the territories' tax agencies. The last thing that I want to talk about with the child tax credit is dealing with residency. Okay, historically, in order to claim the child tax credit, the child had to live with the taxpayer for more than half of the year. Now, there are special rules for the non-custodial parent, but normally they have to live with the child. They have to live with the parent for more than half the year. What's happened is that a lot of taxpayers who live abroad, if they were not claiming their foreign earned income the foreign earned income exclusion, they may claim the child tax credit. They could live abroad as long as the child lived with them for more than half the year, then they were eligible for the child tax credit as long as they did not claim the foreign earned income exclusion. So what's happened now is that there's an additional provision that's imposed on taxpayers living abroad. And that is that in order to claim the enhanced child tax credit, that taxpayer must live in the live in the United States, they have to live in America for at least half the year. If they don't live in the United States in America for at least half the year, they're still eligible for the old child tax credit of $2,000, $1,400 refundable, but they're not eligible for the new enhanced child tax credit. And again, we're going to see this. There's actually new questions that are going to be on the forms, and there'll actually be new questions that you're going to have to answer in the programs that are going to indicate whether or not the child lived in the United States, lived in America for more than half of the year.